Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Omnifactory. So in the last one we got a lot of progress finished off. We built our sheep farm for mutton, to get our sterilized growth medium, to get the wetware boards. We automated the soul binder. We got the atomic reconstructor automated on its own subnet for the empowered blocks. We also set up combination crafting for the empowered versions of the actual editions blocks. We added a few more blast furnaces. We got wetware up and running. We passived the next tier of circuits as well. But there's still lots and lots to do. So the first step I'd like to get here is the Fusion Reactor Mark 1. I'd really like to get this built today in order to unlock Europium. And Europium is the gateway to Draconic Fusion. So for this Reactor Mark 1, let's just start with the controller. So the controller itself is IV fuel generators. I think we can make these already. Nether star plates, tier 7 circuits, we have those. Superconductors, HPICs, fusion coil blocks, which means we need neutron reflectors, everything else we have here. And then plutonium-241. I don't know if you'll remember when we set up those reactors, I mentioned that we're getting all of the nuclear fuel that we need except for the plutonium. And this is the case where we need to process stuff just like one time, because we really only need one plate of this, right? And then maybe one extra to melt into a liquid once we get tank, or the creative tank, so that we can duplicate it. So to get 241, we need to deplete Lu-235, which comes from uranium-238 and uranium-235. 238 is the ore you get from the microminer. So I already made some of this, and it was about 9 or 10 pieces of that Lu, and I just threw it through this, and then centrifuged it, and that gave us the plutonium. And then I just melted it into liquid form, and fluid solidified it into one plate of plutonium-241. So it should, yeah, so now we've got 2 pieces of plutonium-241, and I kept some in a pipette as well, just so that when we have creative tank, we have more. So that's that taken care of. That wasn't really too bad. So these neutron reflectors take tungsten carbide plating, that's no problem. Reinforced iridium alloy, we haven't made this yet, and beryllium plates. Now this beryllium, I don't think we have any, so I'm just going to buy the ore. It's just good, like, we really don't need that much, and yeah, some omni pennies, that's like nothing. So I'm just going to buy the ore and we'll get the plates from that. And then the last thing is this neutron reflector and the iridium alloy for that. So last time we also set up the implosion compressor with TNT automation. So we can do this recipe now. And then that just leaves iridium alloy, which is just some tungsten plates, iridium plates, and diamond dust. That's easy. So I'll process some of the beryllium. Let's see if we can order our Mark 1 fusion. Looks like we can. Let's hit start and see if it works through the assembly line. I didn't check the voltage tier, but this is at ZPM, so I'm assuming, yeah, it's running. So, alright, let's look at what else we need then. So 32 superconducting coil blocks. I don't know if we'll have enough for that, but let's just see. We have 15. Let's order more of those. 80 LUV machine casings. What is this? Lumium plating. 8 lumium plating pair. Wow, that's expensive. Alright. Let's order 80 of these. 640 lumium. 2 fluid inputs, 1 fluid output, and some energy input hatches. And actually, after reading this quest, I think we're actually going to need more LUV casings, since the quest wants you to make more input hatches, but if you don't, then you are going to require an extra 28 casings. So since we're only going to have 2 or maybe 4 input hatches for 2 different recipes we need from the Fusion Mark 1, I'll make some extra casings to make up the difference. Alright, and then we also need energy input hatches LUV. I don't think that's too difficult a recipe. So 16 of those. Yeah, we have everything for that. Oh, and I actually used the casings, so we'll have to make even more of those. I forgot to mention as well that the neutron reflectors take this tin alloy. And I just set up something over next to all of our other passive things for tin alloy. And tin alloy is very easy. It's just alloy of tin dust and iron ingots. And then I've just got that in fluid form, and that's just being put into this LUV assembler with the recipe for the neutron reflector in there. This is a really slow recipe, and I noticed we'll need it elsewhere as well for the tier 9 microminers. So I don't know if that's something we should be doing passively, but for now we're just going to leave it as is. Anyway, that should have finished the Mark 1. Yep. And a quest. Fusion Reactor Mark 1, nice. So let's actually set this up, and I was thinking we set this up next to our nuclear craft fusion, or fission I mean, and we can put in this chunk here. I think it fits quite nicely within a chunk, and I've never actually built one of these before, but yeah, luckily we get the structure preview from Gregtech. So I think this is one off the ground, yeah. And does this fit in the chunk? It does. We'll move it back one more though. Yeah, maybe not actually, maybe we want it to the back side of the chunk. Okay, so this preview is a little bit confusing since I've never built this before, but I think all of these bluish casings are optional, and these can be interchanged, like these are the fluid inputs and outputs. So we're going to put our fluid inputs and outputs on the front next to the controller, I think. And then we'll make all of the bottom ones casings. Let's just start with that actually. So we'll place all the casings first. And then on top of that, we'll get all of our superconducting coil. And then I think energy input is in these corners. Something like this. And that'll be all 16 of these. Alright, and multiblock has formed. I think this is a really cool looking multiblock. So I've put the 2 fluid input hatches on this side, and I've also added 2 more on this side as well. We're going to be processing 2 recipes in this Mark 1, and then we'll be building the Mark 2. And the fluid output is just here. Next we have to hook up power to this. So the quest mentioned something about power. Either way, these are LUV input hatches for power, right? Yeah, LUV energy input, so we'll need a LUV CEF, one of these. And we'll get some LUV cable as well, which is what, signalum. So I think we can just do something like this and run the cable across to each one. And then can we put a CEF right here? Or maybe below it? Like right here, and then connect the cable in the middle. And then we'll run our superconductor and conduit over here, and maybe like along this line. Something like that. So now these should be getting power. Some power? What does the controller say? Oh no, it is powering up. It was a bit slow. Yeah, no, these are full. This should be fine. So now that's powered, we have to figure out our inputs. So the whole reason we need this fusion reactor is to make Europium. If we look at the recipe for Europium, it's made in the fusion reactor. It requires 150 million EU to start, and then 24,000 EU per tick after that, or 3.2 seconds. This recipe combines hydrogen with neodymium, and it's a 1-to-1 neodymium to europium, with some extra hydrogen in there. So hydrogen we have loads of in our system, so I think we can just put a fluid input hatch, or sorry, a fluid interface. Yeah, one of these on the input of this, and we'll hook this up. Okay, so this is all hooked up now. I've got this filled with hydrogen and the fluid interface. And the next one was what? Neodymium. Let's check how much neodymium we actually have. Over nearly 3,000. Since we really don't need so much of this europium, at least I don't think anyway. Let's just double check. We need some plates for the fusion injectors, but we're only going to be making, I don't know, maybe 50 of these pre-tank, because after that we can just tank europium, right? So we're going to need it also for the Mark II. This is our gate to the Mark II, so you have to make 4 plates for that, and then a handful of fusion injectors. Let's maybe just do 8 stacks of neodymium. So we have to get this in fluid form, obviously, so let's just do a fluid extractor. And I guess we can just put this straight on the input, and then auto output this down the way, and we'll just feed in the ingots manually. We do have to power this though, so what is this, EV? So we need an EV CEF, and we'll plug in power to this as well. This really doesn't need to be too fast, it's just I already had an EV CEF, that's why I'm using it. We just put a chest on top with a conveyor. Oh yeah, I forgot you can't put it on the bottom. Conveyor on there, import, and then we'll have to figure out the output as well. So what do we want to do with this output? It's going to give us fluids, but we want plates. So we can just put a fluid solidifier right here. And we even got an EV one as well, so let's just use that. And I guess I'll move this CEF to be able to service both. Okay, we'll put our plate mold in the fluid solidifier, and then this can just go into a chest. Since we're gonna know how many stacks we're gonna get out, right? We're gonna put in 8 stacks. So we'll get 8 stacks out, and that'll go in this chest. So now we should just be able to double check this is powered. Let's just put in our neodymium and see what happens. Okay, it's running. It's quite quick as well, actually. And we got our first pieces of Europium. Wait, how much does this give per recipe? 3.2 seconds for 16 millibuckets. So it'll take a while to get through this, but yeah, we've got a Fusion Reactor Mark 1 running. Let's double check our conduit buffer just to make sure we're not bleeding too much power. No, it seems to be stable. I think we've got enough power to sustain this. So yeah, there's our first plate come through. I wonder if that's a quest. Oh, it wants the ingots though. Do we need the ingots for something? I guess we can put an ingot mold in there just to get the quest. There's the ingot. I'll keep this in there for later. Yeah, and there's a quest for Europium. Alright, so as you could see there, I was able to craft up the wetware processor array, which is the final tier 8, and this is the circuit required for the Mark II fusion. Obviously the Mark II fusion also requires the Europium. This has been running a little while, it's now actually the next day. I've been doing some cleanup and optimizations while this is running. So I think it's actually nearly finished processing all of the input I gave it. Let's see. Still 5,000 neodymium to go. But yeah, we're up to a decent amount of Europium. We'll soon be able to switch out this recipe. But let me just show you what else I've added last night. I switched our on-demand macerating to a processing array. I just have these IV tier. And there's not many recipes in here that use macerating. There's only a couple we've got for now, but it was getting slow, so these things are pretty cheap at this point, so I just decided to add one of these. I also added a processing array for stem cells. These are made from the dragon eggs that we get from the microminer. This recipe here with the growth medium, and this is like 300 seconds per egg. I also did send another couple of tier 6s, maybe 2 more, to get another stack of eggs. And yeah, I put in the rest of the recipes for the Mark II fusion, and I think we can craft this now. This field generator requires the neural processing, which I don't think we've made yet. But I put in the recipe, we should have everything here for it, so long as we have enough wetware boards. Which is why I sent more microminer missions. And then, yeah, everything else here is really not too bad. It's just tier 5 and 6 circuits, HSSGs. These emitters, though, are quite heavily nested. Like, each one takes the previous one, and these really aren't cheap, to be honest. But yeah, we should have all the recipes. If we search for Mark II, I'm hoping we can make our second reactor today as well. So yeah, let's just hit start on that. That might be a bit slow, because it has to hit the processing or the assembly line a couple of times, and there's still only one of these. I'm still to build another one yet. Oh yeah, that's a lot of foil. A lot of wetwares as well. Eventually we'll passive these because these are quite slow. Yeah, that's going to take it some time. Well that crafts though, let's look at what else we need. So this time it wants UV energy input hatches. How are these made again? Osmium plates. Alright, let's add the recipe for that. So recipes encoded, I wanted 16. Oh, we're still missing quad alloy, polytetrafluoroethylene, and osmium plates. So I put in the other plate recipes. This one for the polytetrafluoroethylene sheets, I'm just going to add a fluid solidifier next to where we make this fluid. And then I think I'll just even ender conduit from this tank. And then we'll put a plate mold in there, and that gets us the sheets. And then we can just output that to a drawer. And I'll put a storage downgrade on that, I think. Alright, so now let's try and order these 16 UV inputs. Looks good to me. And we're just waiting on electrum foil. I think actually my cluster mill is still like MV or something. In fact, let's check. Yeah, it's, well, HV for the cluster mill. I should really do something about that. Yeah, so that's nearly done. We're waiting on... Wait, why are we waiting on the hulls? Okay, I fixed it. I had a recipe conflict in this processing array. Yeah, so those are finished now. Still waiting on foil. And then what else? Fusion machine casings. This is just some tungsten steel and then LUV machine casings. Made a couple of those. Oh, it wants 80. Let's just make a few more then. And then fusion coil blocks. Oh yeah, these are quite pricey. MV fuel gens, well they're not bad, but 2 neutron reflectors per block. I mean, what, 32 of them? Can we get 32? We're missing beryllium. And boards. Alright, the boards are going to take a while, so let's actually check if we have enough resources to even craft those. We have 700 stem cells. On this I've set up a level limiter on the input, so that it doesn't consume all of the dragon eggs, because we need these for like the fusion crafting injectors and also the dislocator. And the dislocator's using these warp engines, so I want to keep some dragon eggs on stock. I don't really want to change that either, but we do need more boards if we're going to build this reactor. So maybe let's just send another 2 tier 6 for eggs. Eggs, can we get another 2? We can get another 2. Alright, yeah, let's send another 2 tier 6 microminers. That'll give us a stack of eggs and some number of boards. Hopefully it's enough though, we don't need that much. But that's going to take like 5 minutes or so. Alright, so it appears this Mark 1 fusion is finished. It's actually slowly cooling down, which I think means we need to input more energy in order to start it again. But yeah, it means we can now switch this recipe over to duranium. So if we look at duranium, this is required to make tritanium. The tritanium has to be made in the Mark II fusion or above, so we can only make duranium in this one. And we have to supply this with both radon and gallium. So let's set up the input for this and start making some duranium, and then once we have duranium, we'll set up the Mark II and make tritanium. Okay, so in the inputs of this fusion reactor, I put it on the separate ones and then hooked up a CEF fluid extractor, and I've got a fluid interface for radon here. And then we just have to input gallium, which we have loads and loads of. So gallium ingots, let's just craft another few thousand. And we'll take a couple of stacks of this. Throw it in this chest. And I suspect this will start once it receives its gallium. What are you running? And wait a sec, do we want this in plate form or in ingot form? Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Let's just put it in ingots. Yeah, is that a quest for the first one? I guess not. It wants the tritanium? Alright. Well, in any case, I've got some waiting to do. I need to wait on this processing the duranium, so we can send to the next one, and also craft the Mark II, of which we're just waiting on wetware boards. Alright, well those craft, let's do something a little bit more productive. We'll deal with the Mark II fusion reactor a bit later, once all that's done. I want to set up the fusion crafting now. This Draconic Fusion crafting is required a lot for, well, all of the microminers, and we're currently working on the tier 7. Yeah, tier 7, and this is blocked by draconium heavy plating, which we can now make. Actually, I want to make some of this just to see if this has any useful quest text. Let's get some of this. This is just some draconium plates. There's the quest. Oh, I guess it's also blocked by the large Microverse projector. We can make one of those as well, I assume. Unless this has any sort of surprises. No, this should be okay. Let me gather up the materials for this. Okay, I gathered most of the materials. I'm just waiting on the ineffable glass. The quest says that tier 7s run at LUV, but I want to make this. I basically don't want to move this until much later on. Tier 10, which ultimately we want, is the last tier microminer. The tier 10 runs at max. This runs at max, which is the tier above UV, and this is what we need for the heart of the universe. So we're just going to put it here, and we'll run it at ZPM just for now. And yeah, let's see how big this is. Oh, okay. Do I want to move it back one more? Yeah, I think let's move it back one more block. Yeah, I think I'll build it here. Alright, and there is our large multiverse projector. I also got the quest for it as well. So we finished all of that. Let's see what else was blocked by this. So Draconic Fusion injectors. I think I did already craft these. There's the quest for that. Oh, wait a second. It wants the Draconic one, yeah. This is only basic. So for that we need Wyvern cores. How do we make these? Draconic cores we have, nether stars we have, empowered emeradic we have. So we need compressed infused lava crystal blocks. And these take lava crystals, which take what? Lava and nether quartz. Okay, then let's tackle this while we're waiting on crafts. So this is a LV chemical reactor recipe. We're going to have to make lava faster than we are. We're making magma blocks from DML though, so we'll just have to set up a few more chemical reactors for lava. And then one more for nether quartz and infused lava. Do we want to do this on demand though? Probably not. We should probably just passive this. Let's check the amount of nether quartz we have right now. 500,000. Alright, I think that'll do us. So I think let's just add something onto our IV line. I extended the platform over a bit. So I've got some chemical reactors crafting. Wait, did I order the right tier? I did. Okay, let's first set up lava. So lava is just going to be a chemical reactor with an interface there, giving magma blocks. Oh yeah, that's quite quick. So that'll give us our lava. And then we'll need one more giving nether quartz, and I'll just pump in the lava from this buffer. Alright, that makes our lava crystals, or infused lava crystals. I suppose we can buffer these infused lava crystals. We'll use a drawer for that then. And then we just have to craft them twice. So we'll get a crafter for that then. And we can set it up something like this, so the lava crystals go in this first one. This makes the first block of lava crystals, and then that goes into the one above it to make the compressed. And that gets stored in this drawer. And then we can put a drawer controller above here with a storage bus here, and plug that in. And yeah, that gives us our infused lava crystals. So now with that we want to make Wyvern cores. And for now I'm just going to do this on demand. Eventually we'll probably have to passive this. So where do we want to put the Draconic Fusion? I kind of want to keep this space for more assembly lines. And I don't really want to put it back there. So I guess that leaves it over here. Or maybe behind DML. Yeah, I think back here is going to be a better spot for it. Okay, so I expanded the platform and I set up the first of our fusion crafting. I didn't know if this was going to work, but I wanted to use item laser relays just to simplify all the conduit filtering and things like that. And the way I have this set up is in the recipes, I have the middle item here as the first item in the recipe, and then I have this compass set to priority 1, so the first item that enters this interface will always be the middle item, and because this is priority 1, the laser will prioritize this, and the middle item will be filled, and then it doesn't matter like which items you put on the sides. So I haven't actually tested this yet, but if we request a Wyvern core, it should put the middle item in, and then the clock starts to craft. All of these have power, so it starts charging, and then once it gets to the charging stage, it'll get to the crafting stage. Very good. This is what I want to see. I hope this is consistent though with the item lasers. This is going to make it really simple to expand these and add more. And we're almost done with the first one. Alright, and then we just have to put the item back to this interface. I think we'll use conduits for this step. And we'll just go underneath like this. Insert on blue, extract on blue. That'll put it back to the interface and complete the craft, which it did. And now we got our first Wyvern core. That should also be a quest. So that unlocks the Wyvern Fusion Injectors. The quest text mentions making 26. I'm not sure why, but I'm guessing we'll soon find out why. So these take nether stars, Wyvern cores, Draconic cores, and Draconium blocks. Okay, these aren't actually that bad. So maybe we should just straight upgrade all of these injectors to the next tier. So I think that is something that we'll do. However, I'm going to leave that for next episode. In fact, I'll probably just upgrade the fusion injectors in between episodes. And maybe add 3 more for on-demand crafting at this stage. I'm also still waiting on the components for the Mark II. So I guess we'll build that next time as well. And hopefully get a Mark III. Although there'll be more waiting for the titanium. But we don't need quite as much of that as the first resource. So who knows, maybe we'll get that next time as well. And perhaps we'll also be able to send our first tier 7 microminer there as well. That's the plan anyway. It might not seem like we got very much done, but this episode actually took quite a while to make. And it was filmed over quite a long period of time. I've been working a bit extra this week as well, so I don't have quite as much time to play. But hopefully I can still get an episode out every day, is still the plan. I'm still really enjoying this series, and playing this pack has been probably one of the best packs I've played. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to finish off here for today. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more Omnifactory.